Hey there, everybody. It's Veronica again. Good to see you. So we'll see how today goes because I have two children here, a noisy dog, and builders in the house next door. So it feels pretty noisy, but we'll see what happens. Say hello in the chat. I'm here to answer some of our members' questions. So you'll probably find that you've had similar questions wherever you are in your sobriety. But if you have a question for me, put it in the comments. Say hello if you're watching this live. Let me know where you are. So when people come into the Sober4 Facebook group, we they get to put some questions that they want to have answered. So we've compiled a big list. So I'm going to go through some of them. Hey there, Matt. Hi, Sophia. Hi, everybody who's watching. Okay, so the first question, there's two similar ones, and they're about kind of COVID related. So someone's asked, I wish that I felt more secure about the future, venturing out after the pandemic is over and normalcy returns. And someone else has said, what I wish were easy about my sobriety is COVID to be over. I've been happy and content sober in my private little bubble, but I'm somewhat concerned about life when things reopen. I don't think I will drink again, but I want to get through the first experiences sooner than later. So I wanted to answer these because they're pretty relevant. We have lots of people in our community who got sober during the pandemic, the beginning of lockdown, and now have like, I don't know, 15 plus months, year plus of sobriety, which is pretty good, solid sobriety. However, it's not been normal life, has it? I mean, we just haven't had the same social events or triggers that we would have normally in a year of sobriety. And typically, I say to people, give sobriety a year, do the work on yourself, work a program, find a community. And I say a year because it's interesting to get through all of the things that happen: Christmas, birthdays, barbecues, parties, weddings, summer holidays, all the stuff that will happen in a calendar year. And at the end of it, you can just, alcohol's never going to go away. You can decide if you want to continue or not. But most of us haven't really had that. So it's been different. So as we emerge into, as we're easing out of lockdown in certain places, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Things are opening up. There's more events. There's more normal things to go to. And of course, we know alcohol will be flowing. So I want to. So even if you've been sober for a year or more at this point, or several months, approach with caution. When we do things sober for the first time, it's just a bit weird. I don't know any other way to say it than that. It's just a bit strange. Dancing the first time, going for dinner, not drinking wine, New Year's Eve, whatever it is, it's just strange at first because we're so used to things being a certain way. But I want to say that soon becomes our new normal. And we get to a point where we look at alcohol and we look at it. This is how I look at alcohol. It doesn't look at a way to um, that looks if I when I look at drinking and I look at alcohol, it just my immediate thought is that makes everything worse. That makes everything smaller, and I don't want that. And eventually we get to that point. So it's really important if you are sober and you got sober during lockdown and through the pandemic, that as we emerge into normalish life, you have some kind of plan in place. First of all, number one, community. Have a community. You need a, do it. Don't do this on your own. It's too hard. It's like swimming upstream, and it's unnecessary. There's so many communities of sober people out there, different approaches. You're going to find one that fits you. So find your people and let them get to know you. Don't sit in the back and not say anything. And I mean this in online and in real life. So show up, allow people to know you, um, ask for help with different things, make sure you're connecting with your community, and have a program. So by having a program, my program is the 5 pillars of sobriety. That's movement, balance, process, connection, and growth. And we work those pillars to stay sober. So we work in connection, balance, make sure that you're balancing your needs, balancing your energy, balancing your resources. Don't deplete your resources because that gets us into trouble. make sure that you are moving your bodies, that you're exercising, and that you're learning things like how to have boundaries. That's the number one thing right now, I think. You know, people are like, come, you know, we're going to have a barbecue, we're going to have this, we're going to have that. Is being able to have boundaries and balance so you know what you can be in, you know, what you can do and what you can't do, and that you're able to say no to things, and or no thank you, or do what works for you. So if you haven't learned boundaries, put that at the top of your list. That's, you know, for example, that's one of the things we will talk about and work on in Sober for Life, which is my subscription group that is open for enrollment, I think, just for a couple more days before it closes, and we take care of everybody who joined, and the price is then going to go up. So this is your last time to join at $25.99, and that will stay that price for as long as you are a member. For $25, and I'm going to say you spent more than that on your drinking, you get there's daily support groups. We have weekly workshops from our experts, and everybody who is in Sober for Life is a qualified expert. We have psychotherapists in there, we have nurses in there, and we have workshops on all kinds of different subjects that I think that will all enhance your sobriety. And it's all about learning these really vital tools. That's the most important part of this. So the link is in my bio description. Go and click on that. Okay, so somebody actually just asked a question on Instagram, and I want to answer it. Caitlin, what if I just want a good natural high? So I'm going to say, Caitlin, I have never experienced a high that is better than what I've experienced in sobriety. And let me explain by that. So first of all, in the first year or so of sobriety, listen, alcohol is extremely toxic to your internal organs, particularly your brain chemistry. So you need to have some time for that, your serotonin levels and everything to get back to its default position. You need to heal your body and your mind. Now, my experience has been, once you've let your body heal and you've done some emotional work, you know how to have boundaries, you can recognize your limiting beliefs, you're dealing with your resentments, you are able to communicate better in your relationships, all of that will just help you feel better and stay away from a drink. Then go and live your freaking life. Go and be at the front row of your favorite musician at a concert. Go and dance. Go and laugh with your friends. All of those highs are much better than anything that can be produced artificially. And there's no such thing as a natural high. It's still an artificially created high, whether it's from a chemical created in a factory or an herb grown in the garden. Those are still artificially creating feelings that humans seek. So one thing that a lot of my clients tell me in early-ish sobriety is the first time they really lose it laughing. You know, when you just like have those belly laughs, when someone makes you laugh so hard you're crying with laughter. My best friend and my husband can do this to me, where we just lose it and we are aching with laughter at something ridiculous. That experience is so much more deeper than when it's artificially created by a chemical. And all my clients comment on that and are kind of a bit like, like that was different, like better, different. So there is no such thing, in my opinion, as a natural high. You're still creating chemical changes in your brain. Doesn't really matter how you're doing it. And the high you can get from being sober, like there's been no better experiences in my 21 years of sobriety than being at concerts with musicians that I love, where I've danced all night for hours sober, when I've laughed with friends, when I've seen the sunset. There's no better high than that, and that is the hilltop I will die on. Hope that answers your question. Thank you, Gemma. Let me look at another question. Okay, so someone said, so we're talking about boundaries. Someone said, I'm enforcing boundaries, but others don't get it. Plus, the oppressive underlying depression won't go away. So here's what I want to say. It doesn't matter whether our other people get our boundaries or not. It actually doesn't. It's not up to other people to respect our boundaries. It's our job to live by them. So if you ask me to do something and I say no, and you keep asking me, and that's a tactic to wear people down, and people say, like, I'll say no, and then my husband wears me down, and within 2 days I've agreed to it. So we just continue to state our boundary, and then we remove ourselves when if someone's being abusive or disrespectful or anything like that. And we need to follow the rule of having boundaries. Say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean. So first of all, there's really specific and helpful ways to have boundaries, and I think unless we know that, they can sometimes feel a bit tricky. People used to say it to me when I was an early surprise: you need to have boundaries with your mother or whoever it is. And I'd be like, I understand that, but how? What is the how? It's important you specifically know how to do that. So I would start there in learning more specific methods. It's not just boundaries, it's learning how to deal with other people, right? Other people are difficult. They just are, right? If everyone did what I wanted them to do, then everything would be great. But other people are difficult. They want what they want, and they do what they do, and all that kind of stuff. So having boundaries is part of that, a life skill that we need to learn about how to deal with other people. So if you don't know how to do that yet, find someone who can help you. Again, that's what we do in Sober for Life. Plus, this oppressive underlying depression that won't go away. So there's several things about that. I'm not sure how long you're going to be sober, how long you've been sober for, but alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. That's what it does. It just depresses our central nervous system. And just as I was saying, we really screw with our brain chemistry quite badly with alcohol. So it can take some months for that to regulate itself. And if it's been a year or more, then we maybe want to see a doctor or a psychiatrist about that in case there's something chemical going on there. But there's lots we can do. The pillar of movement. Exercise is simply the best treatment for depression that we have. There's so many pluses to it. It heals our brains. It really is the best treatment we have, better than antidepressants. So, and you don't have to be doing CrossFit or anything like that. Just walking every day, just walking outside every day. So make sure you're exercising. It's absolutely fundamental to changing how we feel. Okay, let me just see if there's any more questions here. Okay, so someone said, I wish it was easier for me to find gratitude for being sober. It's hard to explain, but I don't feel that I feel enough appreciation for how far I've come. Does that make sense? I spent so many years with no spark for anything. Trying to break old patterns is a slow process. My own head seems to be afraid to be happy. I'm just starting to see this in the past week or so, that I keep myself trapped in a certain familiar comfort zone of sadness and anger. I'm aware of it and taking turtle steps to learn a better way. Thanks for asking this question today. Voicing my insecurities and fears does seem to help. So this was a great question, and what I want to explain about this, and this is why I show up in front of you again and again and again and again saying stopping drinking is not enough. You won't get you won't get the life that you deserve by doing that, but also you won't defeat the stuff that got you there in the first place. So here is, in my experience, for me, that was life-changing for me, the most important work you have to do. You have to learn how to have boundaries, specifically methods on how to do that. You have to be able to deal with resentments. Resentments is when you're pissed off with someone, when you're upset with someone, and when it rents space in your head. There's specific ways to deal with that. You need to do boundaries, resentments, and limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs is the story you tell yourself about yourself over and over and over. And this is what's happening here in this question. This is full of limiting beliefs, and it is our own thinking works against us. We all, our lives are run in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is responsible for about 95% of what happens in our day. It's like learning to drive a car. When you learn to drive, it's very conscious. You're thinking about, I've got to turn left, I've got to change gears, I need to brake now. And then eventually you learn how to do that. And all of that becomes automatic, right? You don't get in your car and think about those things. You just drive. And a lot of us have had the experience where we've driven home from work and we can't even remember driving. It's just done on autopilot. All of that programming of how to drive is in your subconscious mind. And the reason we do that is it's more energy efficient to do it that way. So we have programming like that from when we were young. When we're taking in data and we're trying to make sense of the world, and we're trying to create meaning, like Dad shouted, that means this. The teacher laughed at me, that means that. The kids didn't include me, and that means that. And we form beliefs about ourselves and our place in the world that are often very, very faulty and based on perception versus reality. So I want to say for the person who submitted this question, you have a lot of limiting beliefs that are really holding you back. And it's really important to know you can change this. It doesn't have to stay this way. You can change it. So it's really important to know specifically what it is that we need to do. So limiting beliefs are very related to growth, and growth is the fifth pillar of sobriety. You're all being called to grow. We are being called to grow beyond where we are now. And when we get the call to growth, we're also going to experience fear and resistance, and our limiting beliefs will really kick in. Like a call to growth will be like maybe a new job opportunity that sounds exciting, something you've not done before, but is something you're really interested in. And you get the opportunity, but then you start thinking, oh my God, what if I can't do it? What if I fail? What if they think I'm stupid? Oh, and then all the self-doubt comes in. That's all based on limiting beliefs, the story you tell yourself about yourself. So it's doing that. Know that when you get the opportunity to grow into something new, something you've not done before, fear and resistance will show up, but you can navigate around that, the limiting beliefs and the story that you're telling yourself about yourself. Does that make sense? So that's what's happening there. So it's almost like I'm going to guess the story that you're telling yourself about yourself is about you don't deserve this, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, etc., etc., etc. I knew I'd get it. There's my interrupted by a child. There we go. So that's the work that you need to do. School holidays, what can I tell you? Another question. Oh, we answered those yesterday. Where are those? Oh, I am new to being sober. 40 days. Well done. What are your two biggest tips? Okay, my two biggest tips, if you're new to sobriety, focus on two things: connection and movement. Move your body. Commit to making that time in your day, 30 minutes to walk. If you do CrossFit, whatever you do, just move your body. Second thing is connection. Make sure you are connecting with a community of people who understand how you feel and are a bit further ahead. Those are my two biggest tips. Okay, so someone said, how long before you knew you could go to a pub and not have a drink? I want to say it's different for everybody. When I got sober in a place that was a tourist resort, and people came there to party. So it like every on the main street, it was Key West, Florida. Every other building was a bar. So it was all around me all the time. And in early sobriety, I didn't go in any bars. I didn't have any business to be there. There was no reason. I didn't want to. And I stayed away from it. But I got sober when I was 27. And I want to tell you, I didn't want to stay home every weekend and twiddle my thumbs. I wanted to go out. I wanted to get dressed up. I wanted to go dancing. I wanted to flirt with boys. I wanted to do all those things. But I didn't want to drink. So I was 11 months sober when I went to a bar that had like a disco in it there was about 4 or 5 of us who were sober as well. And we had a plan. We were about sober about the same amount of time. We were going to go, we were going to stay together, all of that kind of stuff. And that's what we did. We went, we had Diet Coke, we danced for a bit. It was fine. We left. And I want to say, and it was just weird. It was strange and weird. And then over time, you know, between 27 and maybe 31 or something, I would do all sorts of things. I would go to concerts, I would go to nightclubs because I love to dance, I'd go to bars if it was someone's birthday or if there was an event. So I was able to socialize like my peer group. I just could do it sober. So it's an easing in process, and I think you just, everybody's different. I want to say, so we have this expression: if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. I didn't want to do the things, like I didn't want to hang out with the people I used to drink with and be sober while they were drinking, because honestly, drunk people are boring. It wasn't really very interesting to me to do that. So I go to a pub. I would go to a pub because, you know, to eat, or because, you know, there was like a birthday or something. But how I went to pubs and how I went to bars was different. It wasn't just that I was sober. It's like the whole purpose, who I was with, all of that was different. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I've got time for one more. If anyone has a question they want to put in the comments. Let me just have a look there. Okay, let's see here. Okay, how do you keep your recovery progressive? I want to make sure I keep moving forwards, not just be sober. That's a great question, and I say that a lot, that there's way more to stopping drinking than just stopping drinking. We keep it progressive by what I teach, and what I teach with the 5 pillars, and what I teach in the Sober Full Life community. It's really personal development for sober people. And here's the thing: everybody who on the planet needs to do personal development, which is work on ourselves, know yourself, understand yourself, all of that kind of stuff. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people are just sleepwalking through their lives. So our alcohol problem has given us this wonderful incentive to do this meaningful work. So I do personal development work. I look at my limiting beliefs. I make sure I write out my resentments. I follow my interests. I've learned a lot about myself and, you know, all sorts of different things. I just go where my interests are because I have the bandwidth to do it in sobriety. So we all need to do personal development, peeling off the internal layers so we can know ourselves better. And that's why sobriety never gets old and it never gets boring. It just keeps getting better and it keeps getting more expansive. And that's why I want to invite you into Sober for Life, because that's what we do. We do personal development for sober people. We do so much stuff that doesn't almost always seem related to our alcohol problem, although everything is, because it's all about knowing ourselves, healing ourselves, becoming better versions of ourselves, because the more we do of that, the less we want to inject a toxic substance to provoke artificially, chemically invoked feelings. We can do that all naturally. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I'd love to see you in Sober for Life. Please join before we close it in a couple of days, and I'll be back tomorrow for the last Q&A. Bye-bye.